Ruckerman.
Choice. No pretense, no hidden schemes. Just sports, passion, fueling dreams. From the field to the court, every play that's made. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up, hear the honest sound. Unfiltered sports all year round. Discussions pure, no masquerade. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up. Over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates.
And we are live as we talk sports. Sean Webb, real takes over fake debates. It is Monday, Sean. How are you doing today, brother?
Doing good, SB. Happy Monday to you. Happy Monday to everyone out there.
Yeah, man. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe. Sean, we got a lot to talk about today. It's a lot of things that have been going on in the sports world. And let's salute to the chat real quick. Salute Tiffany in the chat. Salute Go James in the chat. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe. Sean, we're going to get right into it. We're not going to waste the people's time. Sean, it's a new NBA era. The new NBA era is here. From the fact of we got 4 teams in the conference finals who, well, with the Knicks, they haven't won since 70. I wasn't alive during that time. If you want to count OKC's Sonic history, they'll be the setting, but if we're going to treat them as OKC. So we got 3 teams that never won a championship. We got 1 team that haven't won since like 73, I believe.
73 was the last one.
73. Is it official? Because like this is my first real time, like in real time, seeing like a whole complete era diminish. Because okay, I had the Shaq a little bit. I was young with the Shaq AI, the Duncan, so I still appreciated them during the time that I went through it. Then we had to see LeBron, the D-Wade, the Carmelo Anthony's, but now really officially feeling it now with this era being gone, because now you got like LeBron being gone. And so LeBron has been in the league so long, his son's in the league. Carmelo Anthony's son is on the way. Andre Iguodala got a son. Trevor Ariza got a son on the way. It's mentally tripping me out. So it's like, is the new era officially here with like all the old guys being out the way now?
I think this is always the natural evolution of the NBA. Every decade, every 12, maybe up to 15 years, there's going to be a new crop of players who come in who, if you give them time and they develop and they become what people project them to be, they're going to ultimately be the new kind of faces and that push the NBA forward. You know, I know there are some people who are, you know, walking around, you know, singing "It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday" because LeBron and Steph and KD in particular, none of those guys are near the end. But this is how it always goes. Mm-hmm. That's why we always try to, encourage people to appreciate what you have right now because it doesn't last forever. It's not supposed to. That is not the way this works. And so, I think it is a new era, but this isn't uncommon. This always happens. Sometimes it happens sooner than later, but this is how it always happens. And, when we look at, obviously the two marquee players who were in the finals last year, neither one of them are going to be in the finals this year.
No.
So, I think what it says is that the league is in a good place in terms of what they've ultimately wanted, which is to have hopefully an equity of talent spread out. And, you got, again, you mentioned, 3 teams. I don't consider OKC the Sonics, they're the Thunder. 3 teams who've never won a championship, and 1 team that hasn't won a championship in 52 years. It is a new era, but I think this is what we've always wanted. I think this is what the league has wanted for some time, and now they're getting to it.
Yeah, I want to shout out my boy Woods in the chat. He was like, new era. Not as long as LeBron and his friends are around. I'm gonna be honest with you, boo. LeBron fans, they only got 2 years left of this. Maybe really 1. Maybe 2. 2 is pushing it. All that's going to happen is that LeBron fans are going to turn to what Michael Jordan fans are now. Talk about the past every time and compare everybody else to LeBron. That's all that's going to happen. Y'all just going to get to see it. We just going to really get to see it in real life time. See, like a lot of us grown and just like understood the era of Michael Jordan, and they was like, why they like praise Michael Jordan the way they do. Only thing that's going to happen is that they just going to do what the same thing Jordan fans do. That's literally all they're going to do. Because guess what? Even if a guy don't win, they're going to say, do he got the all-time scoring record? Did he break all these records? That's all they're going to do. It's literally going to be the same thing. So just be prepared for that. Go James said the next generation is going to be crazy. I'm not going to lie. I think we obviously got another a topic about the NBA era. The next thing, the generation that's coming up, we got a segment about this. We could get to that point a little bit later, so I don't really want to like expose what we're gonna talk about. But I think the NBA is in a good place to an extent, but I think it's the little things that he'd be fixing. But I'll talk about that during that segment. He said they won't watch the NBA anymore like Jordan fans did. I hope not. I'm be real with you, Sean. I can't wait. It's been so bad for me personally that I think I said Tim Duncan the greatest player of all time because they that's how bad they annoy me with this. So we could just literally get back to watching basketball for basketball. I don't want them no more. They could just come back when somebody make the finals or get his 4th, 5th ring, and then you can pop back up and say, "Oh, he ain't Jordan, he ain't LeBron." So I can't wait till they be going out the way because I actually watched the game of basketball because I like the game of basketball. I could watch. It'd be a bad watch, but I could watch like the Charlotte Hornets and the Sacramento Kings play, and I still have a good time watching it. Would it be a good watch? Probably not, because both of them teams terrible. But Sean. But the NBA Conference Finals is set, Sean. We got to give our predictions. We got to talk about each series individually. The first team that's up on the list is the Eastern Conference team, who has a lot of history from the Reggie Miller days, the Patrick Ewing days. So it's no love lost between these franchises and the fan base. It was a video that went viral, which I feel like it wasn't smart on his part. I don't know if you've seen it. It was the Pacers fan that called in New York, and they was like trying to get him to take off his jersey. They were throwing trash at New York people are wild. I said, he better than me. It'd have been a whole different type of scene. All y'all attacking me. My life in danger. my life in danger. I ain't gonna tell you, but look, I'm like y'all wild. New York fans are some of the best and the worst fans ever. But I understand why they're wilding now. So we got the Knicks versus the Pacers, Sean. Give me your predictions. What do you expect for this series? With this series being a part, would you feel the history here? Will we get that type of competition because of the history between these two teams?
I think to a degree. I think part of the history, though, is that these teams did meet in the playoffs last year in the semi finals. So I think that matters as much as anything. It was obviously a very competitive series. These are different teams now. Obviously, Cat wasn't there last year. Pacers had some injuries last year. They didn't have Mathurin last year. So I'm looking forward to both series, to be very honest. But this series, obviously, as someone who got to watch those Knicks Pacers series in the 90s. Of course, I didn't like either team, but because I got to see that and remember it pretty vividly, they were, some really good series and some really good battles. Now, we talk about the Knicks and the Pacers. Obviously, it starts with, the 2 point guards and Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton. I know a lot of people don't necessarily love Halliburton. I enjoy Tyrese Halliburton. I think he's a fantastic player.
I love Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton, one of like the best point guards in the league. And people get mad when I say that. Tyrese Halliburton, nice.
Yeah, and I mean, and you think about in the new age NBA with point guards, he's the point guard that doesn't have to score 30 to dominate a game.
Yes.
And so, I think it's going to be, obviously a contrast of styles. I know you asked for a prediction. I'll wait on that. But, to me, this series is going to come down to why the Knicks get Karl Anthony Towns. It's to dominate a series, dominate a series like this. I don't think the Knicks can win this series if Karl Anthony Towns is not their best player. He has to dominate this series, in my opinion, for the Knicks to win. The Pacers, on the other hand, they're a team. They are really a team, strength in numbers. They go 9-10 deep, and they play for each other. They make the extra pass. They remind me a little bit of the 2014 Spurs in that when they are moving and snapping the ball around, they are tough to beat in the half court. And when they're in transition, obviously Halliburton might be one of the better, transition guards in the league in terms of, finding guys and getting the ball pushed ahead. So I'm looking forward to the series. I think it's going to be a contrast in styles, but definitely looking forward to this series.
Obviously, Sean, you know who their coach is. Rick Carlisle, old school. That's why I'm not surprised by how they play. Team friendly, run up and down the court, old school type of coach.
Yeah.
It ain't like get up and down. But for me, I think this series, out of shadow of a doubt, it's going to go 7. I think this series is going 7 for sure. What advantages that I see with the Knicks have is that obviously Tyrese Halliburton is the problem, will be a problem, but they also got other guys around. But the benefit of the Knicks, they got guys like Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges that you can throw on Tyrese Halliburton to make his job hard. But also you look on the Pacers side of the ball, they got Pascal Siakam, they got what's the young boy name? Nate Smith, they got double zero. Yeah, they got bodies. They got bodies to throw at JB too. Also, so I do agree with you. Like from the Knicks point of view, Cat might have to either not be, if not the best player in the series, he got to be a dominant figure where his presence is felt. And then on the Pacers side, I do feel that Pascal Siakam has to be dominant as well. Yeah, I see. What did it say? G Money said conference finals will be a movie. He said, in the Premier League, you have 4 great young guards go. That has to be good for the NBA. Yeah, I think it is though, because it's not even that they all guards. I just think for me personally, Sean, is that they all young. That's what I think. Is all young.
Yeah, and I think, but also to add to the great young guards. I think these series also feature, bigs. When you talk about Cat, when you talk about obviously Julius Randle, when you talk about Chet, I'm going to consider Siakam a big because he does play the 4. He's kind of a hybrid, but he does play the 4. Those guys are super important to what those teams do. And so, I think it's going to be, this is going to come down. We always say the playoff series come down to matchups, adjustments, and health. And so, I tend to believe a little more in one coach versus the other in terms of adjustments. But, that said, I think these are going to be some very good conference finals. And I think, we got to talk about, the subject you brought up in just a moment, but, if you're the NBA, you got to be really happy that, 2 teams that were in the conference finals last year are back in the conference finals again this year, and they're both from smaller markets.
Yes.
And so that's because I think that's really what they've wanted. is to, make sure that, again, across the league, there's an equitable chance for everyone to compete. And so, but the fact that you got two teams that were in the conference finals last year and back in the playoffs and back in the conference finals again this year, that's a big deal to me.
Now, Sean, Go Jens, he said, quick question, guys. Is Brunson looking like a first team guy? Yes. Without a shadow of a doubt.
I would say yes. I don't think it's a lot, but I would say no less than second team for him. No less than that. Yeah.
Now, is he playing like a first team guy right now? Yes. But I agree with Sean that that minimum he's going second team.
Yeah.
Wu said, "Do the Knicks have a bench? I haven't noticed it yet. No, Tibbs ain't playing them. Tibbs ain't playing. They got a bench, but Tibbs ain't playing them. Only person on that bench that should not be playing, and I don't know what I ain't gonna say. I don't know. I know why I got a beef with him. It's Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne shouldn't touch the NBA court again, ever again. He said, if Cat feasts on turn, the sky's the limit for us. I can agree with that. But now also, Sean, what I really would want to see from this series is just up and down good basketball. But for both teams, who I think should really take off for the Knicks is either got to be OG or Mikal. And for the Pacers, I want to say Siakam, but I really want to say Miles Turner. And Miles Turner is more for defensive purpose. I want to see him actually be a presence defensively. And I think if one of those two things happen, that'll lift the series for any side for me. Next up, we got OKC Thunder versus the Timberwolves. One team who has been putting up historic numbers of the team since Michael Jordan's Bulls, offensively, defensively, and the other team that has Michael Jordan's son on it. Who you got, Sean? Or we'll just talk about the series, not preview yet, but what you think about this series coming in?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about two of the better defensive teams in the NBA. Obviously, OKC is the number one ranked defense in the league. This is going to be, I think, an absolute chess match, in terms of, how these teams are going to come out matched up. I would expect Jaden McDaniels to probably get the primary assignment on SGA. But also I expect Ant to take a great deal of that responsibility as well.
I don't want him to, Sean. Honestly, it's not like him avoiding it because I know Ant like that smoke, but it's like the Thunder is so great defensively. I don't think they can afford Ant-Man having consistent bad shooting nights like that because I don't think Brandon ain't gonna be playing the same like he did last year consistently because the Thunder how great they is. How he is great defensively. That's just me, honestly.
Yeah,
so I need as much energy I possibly get for Ant on offense.
Yeah, and I think Ant, and again, one thing I think we're going to see from Ant, and when I say Ant's offense, I'm not looking at Ant's offense just in terms of his scoring. I'm looking at Ant's offense in terms of his total floor game because the Thunder are going to try to throw some things at them defensively, and Ant, while he's not the greatest passer, he's not Steve Nash. I think he does in a lot of instances really try to make the right basketball play in terms of his ability to read. If they're gonna if he comes off pick and roll and they're gonna trap on that pick and roll, he's gonna make that swing pass. It's not him necessarily getting the assist. Sometimes it's him getting the hockey assist. So I think those types of things are going to be interesting for the Thunder to me. And again, where I believe this is truly a matchup series, I think the Thunder have to blow the Timberwolves out. Yes. I think if the games are close, I would probably lean more Timberwolves if the games are a little close. But also, what will the Thunder do in terms of Rudy Gobert? Will they try to pull him away from the basket? Will they play a little bit smaller? They did, they like to obviously play Hartenstein and Chet together, but they had some lineups where they had Chet at the 5 and they had the other Jay Will at the 4. And, again, that I think really, could be, an interesting chess decision for the Thunder. So, this is a very intriguing series to me. Again, two of the better defenses in the NBA. When these teams go through scoring droughts because of the defense they're playing against, who can manage that best to stay in the game and obviously find a way to pull it out. But we could see some very ugly scores in this series, and I'm saying on both sides. We could see both teams not even hit triple digits in this series, and it wouldn't shock me.
This is another series I'm looking at that might possibly go 7 games too, Sean. I'm definitely seeing a double 7-game series in both conferences, right? Which is good, which is great for the NBA. OKC is outstanding defensively. The Timberwolves is outstanding defensively. They got a couple guys who can score in different possible ways. Obviously, both teams has their guys in SGA and Ant-Man. In this series, what I'm truly, genuinely going to see that might make the difference is either whatever team played a better defense or whatever team shoots a better percentage or get a better high volume shots or like who makes the better adjustment. I'm going to say because obviously me saying that both ways kind of like coincide with each other. I'm going to say whoever make the better adjustments to what the teams throw out there. So like if they run the blitz to get the ball out of Ant-Man hands, what are you going to do with Julius Randle? Or if they run in bigs, are you going to keep Gobert out there? Okay, OKC are you going to go small to get Gobert out the floor so you can attack the paint and let SGA attack the middle? That's what I'm really looking for. I do agree with you, Sean, that it's going to – I think coaching in this series will be the deciding factor because OKC has played outstanding this year, historically outstanding this year. But I do think the Timberwolves and the Thunder OKC look eye to eye to each other. This is a 7-game series. If I had to bet money on it, I think if the Timberwolves to win this series, they have to win in 6. If it goes 7, I'm gonna take the OKC Thunder at home with their home court advantage. I'm gonna be honest. If the Wolves want to win, they got to get it done in 6. If it goes to OKC, I cannot see the Thunder losing at home. Hey, Bang said Ant-Man finna cook. He possibly. I got the Thunder in 7 as well. Yeah, it might be Super Saiyan Shavers and but Sean, that's but I'm looking at the series. I'm excited for it though, and I know a lot of people are mad because you didn't get the Stephs, you didn't get the KDs, you didn't get the LeBrons, you didn't get the Giannis's, but you didn't get the Joel Embiids, you didn't get the you got New York, you didn't get the LA, Chicago, you didn't get the big market teams. But at the end of the day, it's about how you build your team and who's the players on the team. Because this not, and I hate when people only do like the big market thing only matters. That's not the case in this era no more, Sean, because how social media is set up, everybody can be just as big, even where like the small location. I only think in today's era of basketball that the big market only matters to the casual fan. The guy who never really watched basketball, he only probably tuned into the playoffs. He only probably watched 2 games a season, 3 games a season, the celebrity here and there. That's celebrities and those type of people only care about big markets, the Chicago's, the LA's, the New York's, because they can go to a big city to enjoy their time there. But real life, like it don't matter no more because social media, like any other team can be as popular as Sean. And that's what I want to bring up to the point that we are welcome to the new NBA age of parity. The NBA age of parity is here. And right before I was going to say it, my boy Bang said it. Since 2020, we had a different champion. It is a new era, Bang. I do agree with you. It's a new era as well. So since 2020, we had different champions.
2019, but yeah.
2019, technically. We didn't have no back-to-backs. There have not been a back-to-back since a long time. We got a conference finals right now with 3 teams that never won a championship. We got 1 team that never won since the 73.
Right.
It's a different era of basketball now. Do you think this age of parity is good for the long term in the NBA? Because now we don't got this legacy team that could go back to back. We don't got this legacy team or a legacy player who could take somebody to 10 straight finals and all people know is just that player. We don't have no team from the 60s with Bill Russell where they dominate the era. We don't have no team like in the 80s where two teams it was guaranteed to always make the finals, the Lakers or the Celtics. You know, but then you also, Sean, you got these got the conspiracy theory guys where it be like, hey, the NBA trying to make it parity so we can protect players' legacy, protect Jordan legacy so we get nobody no back-to-backs. We make everybody so can't nobody win. We don't want nobody to be greater than the people in the past. So do you think parity that we at right now is good or bad for the NBA, especially with nobody winning back-to-backs? We haven't had the same champion since – 2019. Now we're gonna get a new team with a champion because we got what? Denver was a new champion. Who else was a new champion?
Milwaukee. Milwaukee, but I mean, in terms of the franchise, or
yeah, or a long time champion. So, is these teams that's getting new championships or having won since the 70s? Is that actually like good for the NBA? Is parity good right now?
I think from the NBA's perspective, with this new 11-year, $76 billion media rights deal, is great for them because they don't have to force feed one or two teams on 3 different platforms for the next 11 years. So it's absolutely great from that perspective. There's a sports romantic though in me that always kind of enjoys the dynasty thing, or at least, and I don't know, and I believe, I'm just saying this, just bear with me for a moment. Looking at the long-term scope for the NBA, particularly under this new CBA, I don't think we're going to see a dynasty anytime soon because that's just not the way things are set up. So from my perspective, I like to believe that this is great for the NBA. It's important to highlight dominant players are everywhere.
Yep.
And so, you know, on a Wednesday night, if you tune in and you know you're going to see, I'm just throw out a name, Minnesota and San Antonio in a game, you know it's probably going to be a pretty good game with Ant and with Wembyamba and with, you know, De'Aaron Fox and with, you know, whoever else is on Minnesota at the time, and you know you're going to get that for presumably the next few years. That's great for the NBA. But I also think what it is going to do to a certain degree also, SB, is force the casual fan to step their game up. And by step your game up, I mean, yeah, I obviously I want Heat stuff. I love the Heat. I watch the Heat pretty much every time the Heat are on. But I watch everybody. I wouldn't consider myself a casual fan either. But it's going to be important to kind of be abreast of what everyone is doing, not just your team or your favorite player, if you really want to be a true fan of the game. And I think that's what is got to push towards, is just people being a fan of the game, not just a certain player. A certain player can help, you know, raise your fandom and things of that nature, but you know, it's about the game at the end of the day, because you know your favorite player, you know, of all time doesn't play anymore. SB, he's done.
I mean, he just retired, but yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So you know what I mean. So you know, at the end of the day, like that to me is what it's about. It's like, hey, listen, these guys are going to come and they're going to go, and appreciate them while we have them, but you know, step your game up and be more of a fan and more interested in the game.
Yeah. Now, Sean, I understand your point. What you're saying, I hear it loud and clear. I do, but I'm have to highly disagree, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I love watching just basketball in general, so I can still get the enjoyment of it, no matter what, even with all the parity that's going on in the NBA. And I get why they're doing, trying to help the small market teams build up. But, and I want to go back to the comment. I think was it Wu that said it? Wu said most parity since the 70s. Parity helps the NHL, NFL, and MLB, but hurts the NBA for some reason. And the reason why it hurts the NBA, because the NBA wasn't built off parity. What was the first thing that the NBA starting to take off with the Celtics, Bill Russell. They was a dynasty. When the NBA shot to the 70s, where it was parody, they said it was trash basketball. People didn't like it. Go to the 80s. What took off? The Boston Celtics rivalry, the Lakers rivalry. We need to see these guys play. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. The NBA built themselves off dynasties and franchise players. NFL can do that because they on a one-game type of playoff schedule. And then really only person that you really like in the NFL is that the casual fan will know is the quarterback. MLB it's kind of always been like all over the place anyway, and then it's a long season, so you have to be really patient as a fan to really enjoy Major League Baseball. And hockey, I'm not even gonna cap with an answer. I'm not knowledgeable enough with hockey to give you a true, genuine answer on why that is with hockey. But I know for sure the NBA was built off dynasties, built off who's the next guy, who's the face of the league. Jordan. It went from Magic and them, and like I said, Magic and them in the 80s, they went to the finals it was either the Lakers or the Celtics always in the finals. And the whole point is just building up to when these guys are going to meet again, when these Goliaths are going to clap. And then you go to the 90s, they get another guy because it's like, man, what we going to do? We don't got the Celtics or the Lakers, the teams, the dynasties, the dynasty. Michael Jordan come, make another dynasty, three-peat. Then we go to the next era. What we do, we get the Lakers. They three-peat. The three-peat become a three. Like everything that the NBA built their foundation off, they selling points to the regular fans, unless you tune in every day to really dissect what's going on, is dynasties, franchise players, greatest of all time. Can you go back to back? I think, to be honest with you, I think the word three-peat came from NBA. I believe
Pat Riley coined it.
Pat Riley. It genuinely came from the NBA. So that's where the problem comes into play with the NBA. Where now they want to have parity. The league was never built off parity. LeBron James going 10 straight finals. Can he really live? Can he take every team he goes to the finals? Is he a walking dynasty on his own? And I believe like that's the only problem with the NBA now. If you want to make small market, that's not the problem with NBA. That's the problem with the new CBA, is that it's blocking the dynasty thing from the NBA. And I know the NBA want to get away from that, but I feel like it's a hard selling point because from day one, from the jump, once the NBA finally got the eyes on them, that's how you sold the product to people. Now all of a sudden you want to change it at your highest point. I don't think it'll work. I can still enjoy it personally, but I don't think it's gonna work because of that, Sean.
I just said this, SB, just to point this out. Part of the reason why there was parity in the NBA in the 70s was because you did have obviously a dominant team in the Boston Celtics that win 11 championships in 13 years with Bill Russell. He retires in 1969. The 70s were going to be different. But also you also had the ABA where the NBA and the ABA were competing for talents early on. And then the merger of the ABA and NBA really saved the NBA in a lot of ways, more than people probably
give it credit for. I agree with you on that.
And the ABA, in terms of what the ABA helped the NBA to start to really kind of embrace is, yes, this is about a game, but it's also about entertainment, and there needs to be an entertainment value to the game. But there was also, for different reasons I don't necessarily want to get into because we don't have all that time, there were some other cofactors there of why the NBA struggled and why the 70s is considered the dark ages of the NBA. And it wasn't because there weren't great players. It was because the game was viewed by a certain viewership as too black or too straight. When you have an article about the New York Knicks in a New York newspaper, and it calls them, because they had an all-black team, and they're called the New York Knickerbockers, that's a problem. Yeah. They didn't write the Knicks didn't write the article. The players didn't write the article. So those types of things are very.
They still use that name to this day too, which is wild.
Not going to go there. So that the NBA had largely an image problem. And also, again, there were other things, again, that societally were going on that we, again, don't necessarily need to get into right now. Fast forward where we are right now in the 2020s, the league has been saying, and Adam Silver has been saying for the
Mm-hmm.
longest, and please understand, Adam Silver's been saying this because this is what the majority of owners have been pushing for, is they've wanted parity in the NBA. They've wanted a more level playing field in the NBA. All right. So it's not that the dynasties and the great players can't be great and you can't have a dynasty. But I think if you do see a dynasty, it's going to be, frankly, a little more organic. It's not going to be 2 or 3 guys getting together, say, hey, we're going to get together and go play here, unless they're willing to take a lot less money.
Go take a lot less money. Now you got to take a lot less money now.
You know, and so, you know, and I know people are standing on, you know, trying to say, well, the CBA is the reason why the NBA is getting to this point. The CBA was just signed last offseason. So please know this was happening before the CBA. This is where the NBA was always trending towards. Will it stay this way? Remains to be seen. But, you know, I think right now we're just going to have to embrace that, you know, every year you may get a new champion. And you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, it's not predictable. And then Bag said the NBA marketing did that. That's the difference between NFL. Yeah. The NBA market was that. Like, I feel like the NFL is the only sport right now where it's like their marketing is just the game of football. They don't market their players like they market the teams and the play. And then the quarterback. And it's easier for them to do it when it comes to the play because most casual fans really only tune into like the big games, Christmas, now Thanksgiving, in the playoffs. And the NFL easy sell is that they got 1 game playoffs. Who ain't gonna tune into a do or die situation? 1 game you in, 1 game you out type of situation. It's hard to sell people on a 7-game series because everybody ain't gonna get into that. But game 7, I think every time a game 7 come on, win to do or die, everybody tune in. He said, I do agree with SB, the NBA blind of names. I do not understand and will not understand the idea that parity doesn't help the NBA when it gives other teams time to shine. It's because people, like I said, the casual fans care about the big market, G money, but also you got to think about it as like the NBA is a sport where like the players are on display. You see the players. If you close enough to the game, you can actually talk to the players and they talk back to you. So it's just, I think it's just like the closest of what the players is that what would you say? Lots of fights in the league. In the 70s, people get knocked out like a boxing match. Yeah,
I mean, but it happened in the 60s too. I mean, I think the reason why we talk about it in the 70s is because it was more visible. There were more games on television. There were more games being recorded. So I think it was always happening. It's just more pronounced. And to also be frank, the reason why it looks that way is because the league had more black players.
And they ain't like that during that time. It was a different time during that time. But Sean, we got another story because the Portland Trailblazers officially for sale by Paul Allen Estate. It said Paul Allen Estate announced Tuesday that it has begun the process of selling the Portland Trailblazers. The sale of the team is consistent with Allen's direct to eventually sell his sports holding and direct all estate proceeds to philanthropy. I think I said that right. I hope I did. The Trailblazers said in a statement. Okay, when I first seen it, Sean, I think you sent this to me. I was like, I don't blame him for trying to sell the team because I'm looking at what all these teams getting sold for, and by the time that a lot of these owners had these teams, they probably bought them for a couple mil, 100 mil, maybe 200 mil, around that range. People buying teams for 2 to 3 billion, 1 billion. You're getting your money back plus more. I'm selling the team. If I was even an owner right now, unless I'll be honest with you, unless you really like the Knicks, the Heat, possibly the Bulls or the Lakers, I'm selling. I'm doubling my profit. I'm selling. If you're not really like a team in a major market where it's like you can, no matter what the team do, your value still gonna grow. And I'm gonna say, and Golden State too. And I might possibly debate on the Golden State because the Golden State value went from 0 to nothing because of Steph. 0 to a billion because of Steph Curry. I might make the sell if I'm the Warriors. I think you get the most profit off that team right now. But if I'm not the Lakers, the Bulls, the Knicks, or possibly the Heat because of the Heat destination, I'm not selling. I'm not. I wouldn't sell my team. But any other team, I'm selling. Get your money's worth while you can. Get your money's worth while you can. But what's your reaction to the Portland Trailblazers being for sale?
Yeah, so this was always in the plans when Paul Allen passed away. In his will, he wanted his assets, the majority of his assets, to be sold and given to charity. Portland, the Trailblazers included in that. Seattle, he owns the Seattle Seahawks. He owns the Seattle Seahawks as well, but they are not up for sale. So this was always in the works. Why this is an important story is because we've talked about constantly that expansion was probably very, very much on the table for the NBA. We were expecting expansion probably by the end of the decade. Portland being up for sale, I'm not going to say it's going to delay that, but obviously depending on what the Blazers sell for, and I believe their valuation is $3.6 billion right now, which means they'll probably sell for over that. Maybe more. I'm talking probably between $4 and $5 billion easily, particularly because you just saw the Celtics sell for over $6 billion.
Do you think somebody buy that team? Would they move them?
Well, again, I think it depends on
in a hot market.
Well, I think it depends on the two things. One, what are the contingencies of the sale? If the contingency of the sale is that the Trailblazers have to stay in Portland, then, and that's a part of the agreement legally, then no, they can't move them. And also keep in mind, when you talk about the NBA expanding, we've talked about Seattle and Vegas, being those two expansion spots. If you're Portland and you are the Trailblazers and you're still doing well in that market, and financially they are still doing well in that market, why would you move them? So, because again, moving them isn't necessarily guaranteed that you're going to do well in another market. I don't see them moving. I think again, the potential owner of the Trailblazers could be in Portland or in the Northwest. The names are going to come up. Phil Knight, who obviously the CEO and chairman of Nike. He was interested in the Trailblazers a few years ago. He's not interested in them now because he's 87 years old. He does not want to own an NBA team at 87. Jeff Bezos, his name's always going to come up because Jeff Bezos has deep pockets. But if you're Jeff Bezos and if you want an NBA team,
you're waiting on Seattle.
You're probably waiting on that Seattle team if you want a team. So, those obvious names are going to come up. Does Mark Cuban, want to do majority ownership again? I don't think he does, but you never know. So, we'll see. But obviously, this is a big deal for where the league is trying to go in terms of expansion.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think about this topic here. What will Portland Trailblazers be sold and would they move? Now, Sean, we got to go into Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. You know why we got to? Because the WNBA season has started. And, instead of marketing, Sean, you don't know this. This is a streamer. You wouldn't know him. His name's Illuminati. He's like a very popular streamer. He used to do 2K, but then he just talk like regular stuff, spirit stuff. He talk about everything now because he's back. So he even came out the blue. He was just like, bro, Angel Wilson is the best player in y'all league, and y'all barely talk about her. He was like, bro, that makes no sense to me. He said, Angel Wilson is literally the best player in y'all league, dominant, going crazy, MVPs, first team all, won championships. Y'all need market her. But the first thing I'm seeing, day one, WNBA, is Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese beef, which they don't even truly have a beef. My problem is the marketing for the WNBA is so bad that they depended on a college beef between two girls who not even really beefing. Before we get into the situation, I want to talk about that first, Sean. What is the problem with that, though? Like, why is they dependent on this to market the league? I think this is a terrible idea, if you ask me honestly.
I think the fact that they play basically not far from each other. Obviously, Chicago to Indianapolis is not a long drive. you know, when you talk about and if you factor in a couple things, before Angel Reese was at LSU, she was at Maryland. Maryland was in the Big Ten, which means Caitlin and Angel actually saw each other in college because I was a Big Ten. So, and so when you just look at the location of where they play professionally, where they play some of their college career, Angel in particular, in the Big Ten early on, this was always kind of crescendoing to this point. And then you factor in, you know, what happened in 2023 when they, you know, when their teams met in the NCAA championship. You know, it was always crescendoing to this point as this could be a great marketing tool, but they don't hate each other. Like this whole idea that or Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or Caitlin Clark no, these are competitors. They're competitors.
That's it.
They're competing. They want to beat each other. They want to beat each other. And yeah, sometimes it's gonna be trash talk. Sometimes it's gonna be you know, sometimes it's gonna be contentious because that's the nature of competition, particularly when you're gonna see each other as much as they are, because they're in the same conference. So, you know, we can't act like we're surprised by this.
Why is that the selling point, though, Sean? That's the only thing I don't understand about WNBA. You got a lot of great players that you can be selling and make money from if you actually put them out there.
Can I tell you what I think it is, SB? I think we're in the age where selling the salacious is more profitable than selling the substantive. What I mean by that is keeping up with the Kardashians is going to be watched more than many great scripted television shows.
That's true.
Because what are they selling? They're selling the salacious. The Real Housewives of whoever is going to be watched more than some of the best television shows, scripted television shows. Why? Because you're selling the salacious. That's what it's about. So I think that's what we're seeing is this whole idea that, yeah, if we can add just the salacious, just a Tabasco sauce. Let's just add a little Tabasco sauce to this, and we'll get eyes and we'll get views. Not just the fact that Caitlin's a great player. Angel is a very good player. She's going to get better. I believe she's going to get better. We can't just sell that. We got to put Tabasco sauce on it. And the Tabasco sauce is there's a beef here. They don't like each other. And every time they play, something could potentially blow up. And that's why people are tuning in as opposed to just watching that it could actually be really good basketball.
Yeah, I'd rather have them just be like they're very competitive from a point. But what ignited this even more, it was a hard foul, I should say, because I think Caitlin Clark did hit Angel Reese sold a little bit too, both of them. And that's why I like when I keep looking back at that play, I'm just like, wow, bro. It was just like this thing over there, beautiful. I feel like that play was like, hey, look, man, go out there, make sure y'all do something so we get some attention going on the league. But it was a hard foul to him. And then Angel Reese got up ready to box with her. What was your reaction to the foul? Because I watched it a couple times. My first initial reaction was like different, but when I rewatched it again, I'm just like, I wish this could have just been avoided because then we having this conversation about nothing. But I guess this is what WNBA want. This will get us talking about it. But what was your reaction to the hard foul? Did Caitlin Clark, was it a dirty play, or did Angel Reese overreact, or is it like something in the middle?
The foul itself was a hard foul. The push after the foul was where I think that's where it crossed the line.
Okay.
But again, the game had gotten a little chippy before that. So it was probably, again, crescendoing to that point. And, you know, and again, the biggest problem I had with it, Caitlin's walking away. Angel Reese is going to confront her, it looks like. And Aaliyah Boston, you know, basically pushes, you know, or gets in the middle of Angel Reese. And again, for me, my thing is I'm not going to go after my opponent. I'm going to go after my teammate to pull my teammate away if they're going to get into the middle. If they're going to be in the middle of something because we don't want to lose them in the game.
Right.
So, you know, but that's just me. At the end of the day, again, this happens a lot in the course of a competitive game with two very competitive people. Caitlin Clark is incredibly competitive. Angel Reese is incredibly competitive. And it was, it's going to happen. Like, it's basketball. Like, it's going to happen. But do they hate each other? Do they? No, they understand their value to each other, right? This is, this is to me, and it's going to be a little bit of throwback. This is Larry Holmes and Jerry Cooney, to make a boxing reference to it. Like, it's they may not be the best of friends, and they don't have to be the best of friends. They're competitors. They want to beat each other. That's okay. That's allowed. We welcome that. A lot of so-called sports fans complain too much that these players get along too much. They're too friendly.
Yep.
I actually like the fact that they're not the best of friends.
I like it too. I love it, actually. I don't want them people to be people. You can be friends, but I just feel like in between that lines made me feel like y'all not cool as a fan watching.
Listen, if my mama was playing on the other team, I'm going at her.
It's up. It's up.
Like, it's whatever. Like, it's just that's just what it is. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see no relationship. No, I want to win.
Yep. We can be cool after the game. What's outside them lines?
Yeah.
We can be the best of friends outside the line, but in between the lines, we're not cool.
Yeah, no, I expect you. I would think you want to beat me because I want to beat you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. But also, this led to the controversy of bringing up the foul. We got to talk about RG3 clueless, because he put out a bunch of tweets. I know one. I'm not going to read the first long one, which is crazy. When he get these, imagine, I'm not judging who you love, whatever, all this, but when he gets, I'm trying to say, y'all know Robert Griffin III, but when he gets the flack that he gets for things he say and things he do, it kind of don't help in a situation. And the side is defending on when Dr. Umar turns, you got the snow bunny behind you in the video. This is why I will not be disrespectful, but I'm just saying you adding fuel to the fire, Sean. And before we get into this, I'm thinking, which is weird to me personally, I think he Uncle Tommy for money. Because you write a long old statement, and a couple parts of this long statement, I'm gonna read a couple of tweets. I'm not read the whole thing to this first one, because in one of these paragraphs, it says Angel Reese isn't just some jealous black woman. Angel Reese is NCAA. What was the point of saying that? What was the point of saying that when we talking basketball? But no, in the video, when he talking about this, don't worry. I'm gonna trigger everybody. Come and have my white wife right here in the background, so people gonna be like, "Oh yeah, look at bro." I truly, genuinely do not rock with that at all. But let's get into it. I just wanted to say that statement first when it comes to this. But I'm gonna read like two or three sentences from the first tweet, and I'm gonna go to the next two. And I want your honest reaction, because I do think RG3 is coolest, and I do think he's trying to pull that I'm a Carlton type of black guy, or Uncle Tom, and I'm gonna just keep it a buck, Uncle Tom, and for clout money or whatever way you want to use. And I think it's weird. That's weird activity for me. I'm sorry, but he says this is after the game. Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. It's staring us all in the face, but people are afraid to say it. Won't answer questions about Caitlin Clark. Gets mad when people praise Caitlin Clark for the explosion of popularity around women's basketball. Celebrates when her teammates flagrant foul Caitlin Clark. Go to the next. There's a lot of other stuff out there. Well, if I'm reading the last two, it don't even matter. Goes after and tries to punch Caitlin Clark after a routine make them earn it foul. After Angel Reese fouled Aliyah Boston with a push in the back that wasn't called. That's not just hate, it's jealousy and resentment. I was going to try to save grace for not even saying that last sentence. That last sentence right there is wild, Sean. But then he goes to another tweet, I guess people was responding. He was saying, after watching Caitlin Clark's fake and foul Angel Reese, in the aftermath, there is no way Angel Reese can continue to lie that she doesn't dislike Caitlin Clark. I know what hatred looks like. I know what hatred looks like. Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, not some basketball rivalry hate either. Hate. Hey, somebody commented said not merely a bad take given who you are. It's journalistic malpractice, even if it's just a tweet. If you missed last year, you will know there is a sizable racist delusion Caitlin mob that has produced endless hate, death threats to Angel. And you are pouring gasoline on that fire, feeding a monster. Oh my God, that man cooked that man. That man cooked that man. But it's one more. One more. He said, this man is what? Angel Reese is the WNBA's Draymond Green. Caitlin Clark is Michael Jordan. It shouldn't have been a flagrant foul. No one says Caitlin Clark hates Angel Reese because we have no evidence pointing to that. We have ton of examples showing Angel Reese hate Caitlin Clark. This boy, this is real. I want to put a Tony Allen. This man has lost his mind. Sean, I'm gonna let you go here, but that's all I've got to a point, Sean. It's no way you're not telling me he's trying to sell being an Uncle Tom for money, for attention. And that's weird to me. That is weirdo activity. And to say, if I know what hate looks like, nobody ever hated you in life. You ain't never been through nothing like he have never shown me that he stood for the people or been against hate for anything like that. And I'm keeping it a buck, and I'm trying to keep it as PG as possibly I can. This man has lost his darn mind, Sean. I ain't gonna lie. But I digress. I want to hear what you got to say about it. And usually when it comes to stuff like this, people rather hear what you got to say over me. So I definitely want to hear what you got to say on this.
Well, I don't know if that's true, SB, but I appreciate it.
Nah, because you historic with it and you be strong with it. And that's why I prefer to hear what you say over me too when it comes to stuff like this. But the floor is yours.
All right, so let me preface what I'm here to say by saying this. My favorite African proverb is not to know is bad, not to wish to know is worse. It's not that RG3 doesn't know. RG3 doesn't want to know. First and foremost, the amount of hate that Angel Reese has gotten from those who purport to be Caitlin Clark fans is untold. That's why she no commented it. That's why she chose not to answer the question. Caitlin Clark, and we've talked about Caitlin Clark on this podcast before, and she did an interview a few months ago and has even more recently talked about the fact that she doesn't support any level of it. There's no place for it. Those are her words. There's no place for it. So this is not Caitlin Clark. This is Caitlin Clark fans who, again, like to use a token person, and in this particular case, Caitlin Clark, to push their ignorance and, frankly, racist agendas. RG3 doing what he's doing is giving these people the see. One of them saying the same thing. So we got to be right, and that is the journalistic malpractice that RG3 is practicing right now.
He wronged in the MF, by the way.
He is absolutely wrong in this place. Now, that's me being professional. Let me cross over in the brother man Sean for a moment. RG3 is a snow bunny lover. He has made that clear multiple times because he's been married twice and both of them are snow bunnies. Now, why does he choose that? I don't know this to be fact. I'm telling you, this is just my experience from seeing other people deal with it. So I'm going to give it to you like it is. RG3 was the unattractive black dude growing up that black girls didn't like. Couple that with the fact that he's corny.
Man, that's facts.
So you're unattractive to a lot of black women, not all, but to, I would presume, many black women, and you corny than a mug.
In a mug.
So in RG3's case, this is why he does what he does. And I want to also point out something. And for those of y'all that feel a little sensitive about this topic, get your weight up right now.
I do not care. I said, I do not care.
RG3 consistently talks about his wife. And he brings his wife's race into it. Constantly. When he's shooting the video talking about this situation, his wife is sitting in the background, hand clapping and raising the roof for him.
Come on now, dog. Come on, Sean. I'm telling you, he doing it for. That's weird to me.
Yes,
that's
but I'll tell you
weird
this.
To me, bro.
But I'll tell you this, SB, the mistress of the plantation back in the day always liked buck dancing and bootlicking. So what she's doing is akin to the mistress of the plantation supporting buck dancing and bootlicking because that's what he's doing.
Literally. And it's not even, and I don't want nobody to see this and be like, oh, you just no. He's legitly doing it on purpose at that too. He's legitly doing it. It's not even like he had a strong opinion and he putting facts behind it and looking at it from equal point of view. He's literally buck dancing.
Yes.
Straightforward.
Now, let me add another piece to this. Many of y'all have seen the movie Get Out. Y'all are familiar with the sunken place. RG3 ain't just in the sunken place. He is the sunken place. He is the sunken place. And I will never tell somebody who to love. I will never tell somebody who to be in a relationship with. That is your choice. But when you start crossing into these lines, this is why you get picked apart. You, and I'm speaking of RG3, you do not know what it's like to be a black woman because you don't go to bed every night with coconut oil, jojoba oils, and a headscarf next to you. There are conversations that USB know being with a black woman, you're going to understand certain things as a person who's with a black woman that he's not going to get. So when you start crossing into these lines, talking about a black woman hates a white woman, this is why you get flamed.
And it literally is about basketball. It's nothing else, all that extra. Because like when I first seen that tweet, Sean, with this one, and I was like, when he said Angel Reese isn't just a just black, I'm like, what was the purpose even putting this in this paragraph? So you telling me you trying to push your agenda. You telling me you on BS. Because her race don't have nothing to do with basketball at this point in time. At all. At all. So why did you put it into the conversation? Because you Shorty right behind you telling you to buck dance, do all that extra. Okay, that's what you're trying to. You trying to make this a white woman black thing. You trying to be this overprotected. Okay, well, then stay that way. But then he'd be the same dude crying, talking about we treat him like Uncle Tom and I'm an Uncle Tom. Like, no, your actions make us say that you on that type of time. Like, I'm you know how I get them, but I have friends of all type of races, but I'm still move my same way that I move. You hear how I talk. You hear how I say. You know what I stand for. He a type of guy, I'm going to be honest with you, Sean, I feel like he don't stand for nothing. His actions show me he don't stand for nothing. And when people flame him, then he want to use their car. Oh, y'all treat me. No, we not treating you no type of way. Your actions getting you treated this way.
Yeah.
What you saying get you treated this way. Talking about a girl jealous. Is she a jealous black woman? This is about basketball. This is a hard foul. This is a competitive sport. And you should be, I feel like if anybody should be more appreciative of something, and people who go through something, you was a black dude playing a quarterback position where they didn't want black people at that position. But no, go ahead, Buck the information then, my boy. Go ahead. But he still don't have an understanding of what's going on, Charles.
And I want to say two quick things, SB, because I know we can't spend all night on this.
Yeah.
In the context of basketball, Caitlin Clark has the right to commit a hard foul on any player. Angel Reese.
No problem with that.
No problem. Now, here's the other side of it. That player that gets the hard foul committed on them, Angel Reese in this case, has the right to feel that Caitlin Clark went too far.
No problem with that either.
If she felt that way. Neither one of them said it went too far. Angel Reese said it's just a basketball play and move on.
Move on.
Right. So RG3 purporting what he thinks Angel Clark and how Angel Clark feels about Caitlin, or Angel Reese feels about Caitlin Clark, is part of the reason why you're getting flamed, because we don't know. She's never said she hates Caitlin Clark.
Never did.
Never had
at all. The WNBA is trying to sell that, which I think is weird on their part too. Just like you got a lot of good players, but let's worry about these college girls, right? Let's sell this beef, black versus white. Let's sell the angry black woman versus the innocent white woman. Man, go on with that. Go on with that. I'm gonna be real with you. I watch every sport, but the WNBA continues to push that, especially on injuries, because of the angry black woman and K Card is an innocent white woman and Angel Reese, Draymond Green, K Card. I will stop watching the WNBA. I would never turn to another game again. I was watching it before they got in the league. I will stop watching.
I gotta believe fully that the WNBA as an organization does not share the sentiment of Robert Griffin Jr. III.
I hope not. And then my last thing, because like you said, Sean, we do got to move on. And I really want your genuine answer to this question. If the roles reverse on this hard foul, Angel Reese fouled Caitlin Clark the way Caitlin Clark fouled Angel Reese, what will RG3 be saying, and what would be the conversation right now?
Nothing.
I think he would have said, "Oh, she's a jealous. Look how she fouled hard. She's a dirty player. Oh, that's what shouldn't be the league. She's an angry black woman." That's what I think he'd have been tweeting. To be honest with you, I think he'd have played the role. He'd have been devious, talking down on her and everything.
Yeah, I will say this. I look forward to RG3 and Jason Whitlock getting their podcast together and it being on Barstool, and you get to see Buck dancing at the greatest height. I will never watch it, but there are people who would tune into that nonsense.
Yeah, just send me the clips. If it's a clip worth talking about, I would never watch a full episode of that. But Sean, before we get together, I know we spent a little bit too long on this subject, but we got NFL news and drama. Let's get into the news before we get into the drama. News. San Francisco 49ers agreed to terms on a 3-year, $63 million extension for linebacker Fred Warner. Was it a good move or a bad move, Sean? What we think?
It's a good move. Obviously, Fred Warner is one of the best inside linebackers in football. Still very much in his prime. He's only 28. And so I think that their intent is for him to, finish his career as a Niner with this extension. Obviously, now they've been able to free up some money with another move we're going to talk about here in a moment. But this makes perfect sense for the Niners to lock him up. He is the quarterback of their defense, and it only makes sense.
I'll have to 100% agree with you. Fred Warner, one of the best inside linebackers, possibly could be a Hall of Famer in the future. He is the 49ers defense. He has been the identity of this 49ers defense that has been locked in over these years. You got to pay that man. I'm glad they secured him up and showed some loyalty to Fred Warner. Next up on the list, the San Francisco 49ers also signed quarterback Brock Purdy to a 5-year, $265 million extension. That includes $181 million in guarantees. This is the good move, bad move, Sean. What you think?
I thought it was a good move until they included a no trade clause.
Wait, no, you're lying.
No, you got a no trade clause.
You're lying.
Nope.
You're lying. Hold on, let me go back. I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
you're
no.
lying.
Yeah, got a no trade clause.
I guess, but okay.
Yeah, got a no trade clause.
I don't know what Brock Purdy. I agree to signing Brock Purdy. Only from the point is like it's going to be hard to find another quarterback to guarantee it. Then you got to restart the clock if you get a new quarterback, and then any other quarterback that's at the point of his like level or better than him, what you got to give up to get him, or what you got to actually put him in a system to do a great job. So I get back when you find your guy, pay your guy. I agree with that. But you just tell him he got a no trade clause is out of line because you're stuck with him. There's nothing you can do now because Brock Purdy's not going to leave. Brock Purdy's not going to ask for a trade. He'd be a fool to ask for a trade unless you just bench him. But with the money that he's getting paid, you're not going to bench Brock Purdy. Yeah, I like the contract, but I don't like the no trade clause. I did not know that. I'm gonna be 100% honest.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they are very committed to him.
That they are.
And he's one of now the top 7 paid quarterbacks in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Brock Purdy's been a very, very, very solid, good quarterback for the 49ers. And I am not saying you can win games with Brock Purdy as your quarterback. But a Chrysler 300 look like a Phantom till it pulls up next to it.
So a Phantom pulls up. Yes, sir.
So, we'll just leave it at that.
Next up on the list with news, Ravens signed Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $30 million extension. How you feel about that?
Again, no-brainer for me. Obviously Derrick Henry's I want to say, and I say this affectionately, he's really the LeBron of the NFL, the way he takes care of his body.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that, he can play at a very high level for another couple of years. He only had 1 year left on his deal. So essentially this is, 3 years, more for him. The way he's playing, it's a no-brainer to me to do this. And again, if the Ravens, want to get to that Super Bowl, Derrick Henry is going to be a big part of that for the next couple of years. So it makes perfect sense.
I have to agree with you too on this. This is a no-brainer. You had Derrick Henry last year. Was solid with the Ravens. I think you got to definitely bring him back, get him another year. Him and Lamar Jackson together, I think they could be a very dangerous duo. But also, the clock is ticking. The Ravens got to get it done because they got a team. You got a team that's good enough to get it done. You have to get it done at some point in time.
Yeah, and the winner in this deal is James Cook because he's looking for a new deal. Mm-hmm. So, you got to think James Cook's deal is going to be somewhere between Derrick Henry and the Barkley. I can't say his first name anymore, but the Barkley deal that he signed, the extension he signed with the Eagles. So one of the winners is James Cook.
I would ask why, but that's we ain't got time for it. That's for another episode. Brown signed rookie Shedeur Sanders to a 5-year, $4.6 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not shocked because, John, every rookie signs their deal. The problem, not the problem. The reason I'm bringing up the Shedeur because Shedeur is going to lead to the drama. So it has been a lot of controversy around Shedeur. First, it started with the number. Then it started with the quarterback situation. It started even before the pre-draft. Things have kind of calmed down once play start. I think sometimes football play takes the drama away. But what do you think about all the controversy surrounding Shedeur, where the coaching staff saying he's been playing the best, the fan base like, man, the Browns had this much aura, they say aura and all this with Shedeur Sanders. Everybody praises his leadership. So does it take the football play on the field to erase all that extra drama? Because it had been quiet since then. It was crazy before then. But does the play of football take away the drama?
To a degree. I mean, again, I think we have to remember, first of all, it's only been rookie camp.
Right. He ain't really played no other pros. He just played rookies.
Right. So it's I mean, again, you may do some 7-on-7, but it's not fully padded. Obviously, you got the orange jersey on or the red jersey on, depending on which one they choose to wear for protection. So it's we got to keep it in perspective. I think obviously the Browns going into this season, Joe Flacco is going to be their starter to start the season.
Yeah.
I can't see it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's basically Shador and Dylan Gabriel kind of competing for that third quarterback slot and potentially moving into that second quarterback spot, depending on what happens with Kenny Pickett.
So you think they're gonna keep Kenny Pickett on both the rookies?
Yeah, I think Kenny Pickett is going to be there. I don't think they traded for Kenny Pickett for him not to be there.
Oh, so I think it's rookies.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders, and whichever one of those guys doesn't, make the 53. If they carry 3 quarterbacks on the 53, then one of them will likely, end up on the practice squad. So nothing's guaranteed. A lot has to happen between, a volunteer, or the OTAs and obviously training camp and, preseason. I don't think you're going to see Joe Flacco play in the preseason, to be honest. But, so there's a lot that has to happen between now and then. I think, the big thing with any player, Shador included, is, your mouth isn't going to be how you make the team. It's going to be how you're producing, in the film, in the classroom, in the meetings and things of that nature. And that's what he and everyone else has to focus on right now.
I was asked, did Dylan Gabriel sign his contract yet? That's what I was looking at.
Again, I didn't make a big deal because all these, if the team drafted you, you're going to sign a contract. Like it's just, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Right, but they can still cut you. They can still cut you.
Yeah, you sign a contract. It's the NFL. The only thing you get is guaranteed is what's guaranteed in that contract. Other than that, if they want to let you go, so.
Now, Sean, the reason why I asked, does the play on the field erase the drama? Because just like the Cowboys always, they love to have this drama. So obviously, they traded for George Pickens. Great pickup. I think it was at like I don't know if it was a celebrity game, charity game, baseball game. It was at some baseball game. Oh, it was a regular baseball game. I don't know. I just seen the clip of the video. I didn't understood. I didn't really look and see where it was at.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody asked them about what's going on with the wide receiver. Who's the wide receiver 1? Who's 1-2? And it's Dallas Cowboy wide receiver CeeDee Lamb believes that he and George Pickens are both wide receiver 1s, that there's no hierarchy between the two. When I seen him say that, I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be problems. But Sean, would it be problems because of this? And then also, would play on a football field diminish the drama or not? I got a lot to say on this, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, obviously, it's nice of CeeDee Lamb to say that. I don't think we doubt George Pickens as a talent. We understand he has a great deal of talent. But George Pickens is also coming into a situation where there's no commitment to him past this season. So he's got to come in and ball out. CeeDee has his money. He's gotten his contract. He's gotten his money. He's gotten paid. George Pickens is trying to get paid. Don't know if that'll be from the Cowboys, but, we'll see what happens. No hierarchy. There's a hierarchy, to be honest, because Dak has a pre-existing relationship with CeeDee Lamb. He knows CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb has been his number 1 receiver for 3-4 years. So, there's a hierarchy, but it's nice of CeeDee Lamb to say that he's welcoming George Pickens in, and he thinks George Pickens can help the Cowboys win games. Will there be drama? I think the drama will be limited if they're winning. I think the drama will be.
Well, we know that ain't gonna happen,
right? But they got to win.
They ain't gonna win.
We'll see. We don't. There's a lot of question marks and things we don't know about the Cowboys. Starting with obviously Dak. How healthy he's going to be coming off of the injury from last year, but also Brian Schottenheimer. And what's the offense going to look like under Brian Schottenheimer? And so there's a lot of questions, but again, I think the drama is subsided when you're winning. I think if you start losing, then that's when it becomes palatable.
For me, I think this is a fire that's ready to start happening. is going to burn down the Cowboys. But I think George Pickens might lock in because he got money on the line. That's the only reason I think, because he got money on the line, he want to get paid. But for CeeDee Lamb, and I'll imagine George Pickens cool, but for CeeDee Lamb, I have to say that makes George Pickens look bad. Where it's like, is he that you go him saying that? I don't feel this way 100%, but I'm saying how people gonna take it as like, dang, is bro that sensitive, or bro can't understand enough that he's not the number one option, that the number one option has to say we both won A's when they're not won A's? Why he can't just come and be like, oh yeah, no, CeeDee Lamb is the guy. I'm coming here to help him. We could both be just good. We could be a crazy dynamic duo. Devontae Smith was a Heisman winner coming into the league, and he knows A.J. Brown is the number one receiver. He has no problem with that because you still can get your job done. I just think with CeeDee Lamb coming out to saying that will make people push a narrative that Pickens is such like a hothead, or not even, but they gonna say that, which is ain't not necessarily 100% true. A hothead, or can't understand what's going on, or can't play his role if he can't understand that he's a second option to CeeDee Lamb coming to the Cowboys. But for CeeDee Lamb to say that, you get him trying to protect him, and you know he's a new guy coming in trying to make him comfortable. But if George Pickens can't understand he's not the number one receiver, it's gonna be very hard for him, because he think he number one, he gonna want number one money, which he might not get that too. That's why I think it's going to be a drama to come in from. Also, if you keep giving this master that he's the number one guy, now he going to want the same amount of targets to CeeDee Lamb. Sean, me and you both know he's not going to get more targets to CeeDee Lamb. And so once he not, so now you tell him, hey, you the number one. We both won A's. Oh, we both won A's. Why you got like 30 more targets than me? Then I should get the same amount of targets. And we see George Pickens act up on the sideline not getting targets. But maybe winning might help us, Sean. We know that ain't gonna happen. Next story up, we got two more, then we out of here. Caleb Williams and his family try to find ways to avoid being drafted by Chicago Bears 2024 due to concerns about the franchise. Obviously, because the franchise never really had a great quarterback. The best quarterback the Bears probably had is probably Jay Cutler. And there's a possibility that he wanted to go to the Vikings because the Vikings put a good impression on him, which is understandable. See what Sam Darnold just did. Good. Holy moly, if Caleb Williams was on the Vikings, it'd probably be crazy. But obviously the Bears got new management, new coaching staff now. So Caleb Williams is actually happy to be here. The only problem that came into play, Sean, that I didn't like, that a lot of people on the outside was trying to make it more than what it was, because every comment section I seen, any video I seen, anybody talking about it, they're from Chicago, they just said, bro, we completely understand it. We are not mad at you. We get it, because we ain't never had a good quarterback. We ain't never had a franchise running the right way. This is the first time. This is abnormal to us that they actually doing a great job consistently. Only people who has been complaining is non-Chicago Bears fans. Why do y'all, like, nobody in Chicago was not mad at Caleb Williams at all. But was you shocked about this? It is that he was at a point he was trying to go to like the CFL or something, or take another year. He was trying to avoid going to the Bears that bad. And it took for Ryan Poles to say, hey, look, it's no matter what you do or what you say, I'm drafting you. And right. He was just like, all right, it is what it is. So what was your reaction to the Caleb Williams news? And are you shocked that Bears fans actually supported Caleb Williams like you? We understand.
No, not at all. Not shocked at all. Because I think most Bears fans understand the Bears' histories with quarterbacks. Sid Luckman, by the way, is the greatest quarterback in Bears history. But no, I mean, 4 titles, I mean, it does matter. And he's a Hall of Famer. And he's a Hall of Famer. But that said, no. Obviously when we talk all the time about, these teams, drafting quarterbacks and blah, blah, blah. And the large question is always, is this the team and does this team have the right infrastructure in place to develop this quarterback that will eventually and hopefully lead them to some level of success? The Bears historically have not proven that that's who they are. Mm-hmm. We talked about it last year when we had, was the Shot Bulls podcast?
The Shot Bulls podcast, yeah.
We had them on, and and I was pushing very hard to move on from Eberflus before last season, because if you're going to draft Caleb Williams, you got to bring in a head coach and you tie those guys at the hip. We saw what happened, and now, fast forward, they have Ben Johnson, and so
might be a good idea that they waited though, because they got Ben Johnson. We gonna see though.
Maybe. I mean, because I thought there was a great chance if Jim Harbaugh, if they had called Jim Harbaugh would have taken that job. Just because of his ties to the Bears, obviously, and in knowing he was going to have Caleb Williams, I think Jim Harbaugh would have been very interested in the Bears job. That's me. But that said, I'm never mad when someone at Caleb Williams' talent level, because let's be honest, Caleb Williams could only do this if he has a certain talent level, and the view of him is that he's at a certain talent level.
Yes,
because that's the other part of it. I'm not throwing shots at anybody. I just want to be very clear. It's not how you view yourself. It is also how the people who will be employing you view you, potentially employing you view you. I'm not mad that he did this. I think it could potentially be a blueprint for somebody else down the line who says, hey, I don't necessarily want to go to this particular franchise and this team. I'm going to look at another route. What he was looking at was going to the UFL, playing
UFL. Sorry,
for a year, and then basically making himself a free agent to sign with any NFL team the next year. And again, it's different circumstances, but it's very similar to what Warren Moon did. Warren Moon didn't get drafted in the NFL. He goes to Canada, plays in Canada for 6 years, and then basically creates one of the biggest bidding wars at the time, for his services, because he was just that good. So I think Caleb Williams would have done something very similar, albeit a little differently. So, I'm not mad that he did this. This was his father, who apparently met with Archie Manning, Eli's dad, to kind of get some perspective. He was, I think Caleb Williams was really, he met with the Vikings. The Vikings, he and Kevin O'Connell really hit it off. Which is not surprising, because Kevin O'Connell is a great quarterback guru. We've seen it. Look at what he did with,
Sam Darnold just got paid off that.
Yeah, Sam Darnold just got paid. Kirko Chains, has got paid.
Chains.
So, and we think he's going to do okay with JJ McCarthy. So, you're not mad with him wanting to go to Minnesota. But that said, these guys got to, try to take some level of ownership and some level of control of their careers. But, Ryan Poles said they were drafting him. They could have drafted him, and they would have had his draft rights. He didn't have to sign. He could have been like, hey, you drafted me, but I'm going to play in the UFL. His draft rights would have ended if he didn't sign after a certain time, and he could have potentially re-entered the draft, or again potentially looked at the free agent route. So this was them trying to weigh their options to see what they'll do. But again, it's the Bears, it's the organization, and not having any history of we've developed a quarterback and this quarterback has done well here long term.
I think Caleb Williams is definitely the make or break for the Chicago Bears when it comes to this quarterback. Like, the Bears have to get this right. If the Bears don't get this right, it is over with for the Bears. But Sean, we got last story of the day. We got Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, among players reinstated by the MLB. What does this mean? Can you give a history of why he was out, and how big is this for him being reinstated?
Okay, so Pete Rose was out. Well, both of them were out basically for the same reason, for gambling, but different gambling. So Pete Rose obviously bet on baseball. In 1989, he got permanently banned from baseball. There have been some, pushes to get him reinstated. Obviously, he passed away last year. So him being reinstated by MLB and by Rob Manfred, the commissioner of MLB, is basically because Pete Rose can no longer bring any potential public embarrassment to Major League Baseball.
Because he's
because he's gone. Shoeless Joe Jackson and the I don't know if you know the story about the Black Sox. But this was basically the White Sox, 1919. They basically intentionally threw games in the World Series because they were in exchange for payment from a gambling syndicate. So they were basically banned from baseball. There's a movie about it called Eight Men Out. That came out, I think, in the late 80s. But Shoeless Joe Jackson was basically their best player, their most known player, I believe. So what this reinstatement does is basically makes them potentially eligible for the Hall of Fame. Now, whether or not they will get in is a different conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
But basically what this says is, we're moving on. They've paid, they've served their time. And again, these guys are all not with us anymore, so they can't bring any embarrassment on baseball. Future embarrassment.
Future embarrassment, yeah. Because obviously now, and I think especially with this era of sports betting and sports gambling, it's like at an all-time high now. So I do think it's kind of understandable with that situation that was going on with these guys. So I'm glad that they are reinstated, but I also think they're like this kind of is like MLB showing a lesson to like everybody putting their foot down, like, hey, look, you can be great and legendary you are, but if you take away from the integrity of the game, then you got to put your foot down. And then for them waiting till they pass is like generally sure, like, hey, look, you messed up. You can't see us reinstate you, but it's because we don't want no more ties from anything that's going on. So that's good. Let's try. It's been another episode of Real Takes Over Fake. The Bays, I think we on 6-3. What you got for
Nah, we did 6-3. I think this might be 6-5.
6-5. Okay, what you got for 6-5?
It's
6-4, 6-5. Okay, we'll figure it out. We can just give any player a shout out because because the last episode was the draft episode too. So I kind of treat it like a draft special. So I didn't even look at the number. So shout out any player. What player would you want to shout out today?
Number 65, Elvin Bethea.
Okay.
Yeah, Elvin Bethea. Yeah.
Players. Let's see. We're 65. Because if not, I got two players I'll shout out. One was 6 and one was 5. 65. Let me see. Yeah. No, I ain't got no player. So for 6, I'm gonna say a shout out to LeBron, and then on 5, I'm gonna do JQ.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Appreciate it. It's been another episode of Real Takes Over Fake the Base with SB and Sean Webb, and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Real takes over fake debates.